What is a CBDC? Many of my friends have been asking me this. It stands for Centralized Bank Digital Currency. Now, in order to explain that, just a very brief history of money and what it should be. Money should be a crystallized form of energy that maintains its value over time and can be traded for the same worth input that I had when I created something, when I did a job. And in the past, this used to be in the form of gold, which was much harder to debase. If I had gold, I had a bearer asset where it didn't matter who was using it. All it mattered was the energy that it took to create the gold, the value that the gold had in people's minds. Of course, Roman emperors realized that they could create coinage, and of course, it was backed by the precious metals that were in the coins. And they quickly realized that they could debase the currency by removing some of the precious metals so they could print more of it. When the populations caught on, this led to inflation and disharmony within the Roman Empire. It was part of what led to its downfall. Money, however, was still backed by precious metal. J.P. Morgan has a quote where he says, "Gold is real money. Everything else is credit." So it's the commodity that is limited in supply, at least theoretically, that has the value. Now, when you have paper money today, the bank can just print ad nauseum, which is why you are seeing massive spikes in inflation around the world and including the United States. That is a big part of the reason. And they are able to do this because Nixon in 1971 took us off of the gold standard when France demanded their gold because they realized that the US was printing so much money in order to fight the Vietnam War that they didn't have the metal to back that currency. And so essentially Nixon reneged on US promises and we went off the gold standard. However, today there is a partition between the government and the currency that you have, that you own, the dollars that you have in the bank. The government today has to go through courts in order to access your funds. They do not control that directly, and they have to have probable cause. They have to go through various machinations. It makes it harder. For example, in Canada, when Trudeau went after the truckers, he decided that all the banks should freeze the trucker accounts. The banks could have said no. Of course, they're cowards, and this being Canada, the accounts were frozen, leading to great unrest amongst investors who no longer trust the Canadian government, have pulled their money out. Me, for example, I used to have a Canadian bank account. I don't any longer. I pulled all the money I have out because I don't trust that government, and for good reason. However, the banks still had to acquiesce to the demands of Trudeau. With the centralized bank digital currency, they will not have to go through any intermediaries because it'll be on the government platform, and the government will be able to program the money. They will be able to access it. They will be able to remove it from your account. So, for example, in China right now, if you are on the balcony in Shanghai in the middle of COVID and you decide to go out without a mask for attempt to get a breath of fresh air, they have drones circling around the city, and they will flash a photo of you and send that wirelessly to a database where they use facial recognition, match the name up with the perp's photo, and directly withdraw digital currency from your account. Is that the dystopian future that you want for the United States, for the free world? I say niet, comrade, niet. I want the government out of our lives. I do not want to have Elizabeth Warren saying that you have to mask outside because we're in the middle of a pandemic, and if you don't, we will do the same as I just described in China and withdraw money from your central bank account. No, thank you. I want to be able to control my destiny. I don't want them saying, hey, if you don't get vaxxed, we have control over the money supply, over your money supply. We'll deduct a social credit score, and you will not be able to get into a bar, a grocery store, take a plane ride, as they're doing right now in China, because that is what is going to come. All this does is push the control to the government, to the centralized government, and they will say, we're going to be good citizens. We are not going to access it. We are not going to use this. This is going to be a way that we can cheapen the cost of doing business, to lower the amount of energy that is used, for example, to produce Bitcoin, which is an alternate commodity slash currency that can be used around the world. And they are going to incentivize the use of CBDCs by giving you discounts on items, using, of course, taxpayer money in order to gain adoption, in order to get people used to it. And once they do, they will have control over your money and they will have control over your life, because the CBDC means compliance to the centralized elite government rather than decentralization, which is where freedom comes from. So they are trading for the ease of use, your freedoms, your ability to choose for yourself how you want to live your life, and giving that over to a bunch of Karens like AOC and the aforementioned Elizabeth Warren in government in order to control your actions. Hey, is that hate speech that I heard? Are you doubting that men can be women? Oh, we're lowering your score, social credits, and you aren't going to be able to go outside, and we are going to eliminate your ability to withdraw from your bank account. We're not going to ask the banks. We're not going to have the cowardly bankers acquiesce to our demands. No, 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 no. We are just going to hit a button because we control you. The more centralized control that the governments have, the less ability we have to be free. And the one life raft that we have away from this is Bitcoin, because it is decentralized, it is a commodity, it is completely fair, and it is protected by a decentralized protocol where you have many, many people generating electricity to guess the randomized number that Bitcoin offers and the rewards that you get for that in the form of the released Bitcoin, and a fixed supply so that our crystallized energy will always have worth, that we know how much, and the government can't inflate what we've saved away, as they do in so many countries, be it Zimbabwe, Argentina, Venezuela, and the list goes on. This is what is in peril here, our freedom. CBDCs are the antidote to freedom, and that's exactly what they think of your liberty that they want to take away, because that is poison for their control, and they know best. The same way that they told you that the vaccine was totally 100% safe and totally 100% effective, so you damn well better get it. And they're going to be able to coerce that in the future over and over. I say, niet, comrade, stay away from me, stay away from my crystallized energy, my funds, my money. Bitcoin is the life raft, CBDC is the government control.